Dear students, dear pupils from various schools all over Europe, welcome to Strasbourg. I'm sorry I could not join you this year, as it was in the past years. I would like to congratulate you all on winning your national competitions and on this trip to the premises of the European Parliament in Strasbourg. Euroscola is a unique event. We are sitting now in our seats, in members of the Parliament seats, in the European Parliament, in our seat in Strasbourg, where we debate and vote on EU law, legislation, once a month for 4 days. You are learning about European integration and the European Parliament itself by experiencing it now firsthand. I wish you a fruitful discussion and resolutions that will envisage ambitious, fruitful European Union policies. Remember that every word counts. Be sensitive on political and linguistic nuances. I wish you a very interesting and inspiring time with your fellow students and friends from across Europe. If there is someone in the seat number 34, which is mine, you can leave me a note, please.
Bonjour l'Europe, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning or Kalimera.
Good morning.
Bonjour.
Guten Morgen.
Bon dia.
We are very glad that we have the opportunity to meet with you. Good day, everyone. I bid you hello alongside these interesting instruments called sopele, characteristic for the area of Croatia we come from and are listed as the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. My name is Sara, and I'm the representative of the secondary school Hrvatski Kralj Zvonimir from Krk, Croatia.
Good morning, everyone. We are from Lithuania, one of the Baltic states with a rich historical and cultural background. Our ancient ancestors, the Balts, were known for their amber they collected from the Baltic Sea. They even used to trade it with the Romans back in the day. Of course, now, as some of you might have heard, we went from trading amber to adopting the euro. Yes, Lithuania is indeed the newest member to the Eurozone, and half of us are still very, very confused by it.
So I brought a special T-shirt with me, and I think it shows that the European Union really unites all these cultures and languages, and I've got our favorite drink. I've just learned that it's called pivo in the Czech Republic from a colleague right here. Yeah, I also wanted to deliver a special message to the Frenchmen out here. Nous sommes Charlie. Merci.
We are from Slovakia, country where attendance on Euro voting is lowest from all countries of European Union. Despite that Slovaks are one of the most Euro-optimistic people of European Union, that's the reason why we would like to be the next generation of hopeful Slovaks and why we are here right now.
The question that we should put when aiming for such high ideals, we shouldn't ask ourselves, what can the state do for me? We should ask ourselves, what can I do for it? Because I, together, becomes us. And we have an identity. We are a nation. We are the European Union.
Before leaving, we would like to share with you a famous song in Belgium made by Stromae, and this is Jeza and Fabrice who will sing it.
Où est ton papa? Dis-moi où est ton papa? Sans même devoir lui parler, c'est ce qu'il ne va pas. Ah sacré papa, dis-moi où es-tu caché? Ça doit faire au moins 1000 fois que j'ai compté mes doigts. Et où t'es papa, où t'es? Où t'es papa, où t'es? Où t'es papa, où t'es? Où t'es, où t'es, où papa, où t'es? Où t'es papa, où t'es? Où t'es papa, où t'es? Où t'es papa, où t'es? Où t'es, où t'es, où papa, où t'es?
I'm from Italy, and my question is, what are the advantages for European citizens in terms of healthcare? I mean, is it possible for us to be cured in any of the countries belonging to EU? Thank you very much.
My question is around the fishery. Ireland is one of the only countries to ban eel fishing on foot of a EU directive to cut the eel mortality by 40%. Would the EU not consider the impact on the indigenous families that have fished these fisheries for generations and see it as their heritage and culture? Surely the EU should protect ancient forms of fishery that are still alive today. Why was Ireland the only EU country to close eel fishery 100%? Thank you.
I'm Marts from Latvia, and my question is related with security and current events in Ukraine. As we all know that every member state is not part of NATO, so the rest stays unprotected, and very few member states spend 2% of their GDP on their military budget. How can we ensure that every country is protected and not going to be external threat? Thank you.
Wenn Sie jetzt von Nachhaltigkeit sprechen und davon sprechen,
Right, you're talking about sustainability and you're saying that this of course applies to future generations and we're working for them and we need to be doing something for them. What about nuclear energy? Okay, please correct me if I'm mistaken. How can we be building nuclear power stations in Europe when we are going to want to protect future generations? Because after all, what will they do with our nuclear waste? How can we protect them?
Dankeschön.
My question is, in the Charter of Fundamental Rights of European Union, there are references to justice, equality, dignity that should appear in the life of every citizen. How is it possible to consider and guarantee that these rights are respected if there are more than 120 million of people at risk of poverty and of social exclusion, and the strategy Europe 2020 only predicts a decrease for 100 million? How is it possible that some people have more rights than others? Thank you.
As we all know, in Greece we have in 3 days elections. And what I would like to ask is why does the European Union forces the Greek people to vote something? What I mean is, of course, we need guidance and we need help from the EU, but our people have also the right of free thinking, and it would be better to decide what they want to vote themselves and not be forced. Thank you.
I would like to regard the topic of illegal immigration. Well, apart from the Triton Agreement and the Burden Sharing Act, what is the European Union trying to do? We all know that some countries are trying to avoid the responsibility of taking the burden. And apart from that, some countries are even seeing the influx of immigrants as a little amount. But I think in Malta it's quite a huge amount. We've had enough of absolute terms. Now we need to talk about relative terms. In Malta we have a population of about 400,000. Well, having around thousands of immigrants every year, it's quite a lot. Thank you.
According to the last question, I would like to know what can be done against racism. It's obvious that there are differences between all of us, right? And there are differences based on our nationality, our religion, and so on. I would like to know, according to that, what happened recently in Paris, right? I mean, this terroristic attack, and I would like to know what can be done to avoid such not only terroristic attacks, right, but to avoid this no dialogue between all of groups, right? What is the state of European Union when it comes to racism?
The first question of our subject was how can we help bring about the change in behavior? The first point, the first clue that we have written down is to inform people about renewable source of energy. That means that if people don't know what is a renewable source of energy, that means how they can deal with this problem, how they can use it. And my conclusion, which is short, but it is a very nice message for all of you to remember, is that the renewable source of energy is a choice and not a foregone conclusion. Thank you very much.
Sylvia, Portugal. The prices of the renewable sources and systems are high because the manufacture of those same systems is pricey. How do you plan on lowering the prices of those renewable sources if those manufacturing prices are high?
I think that, we are responsible for the adopt of this kind of energy, but I think mainly the government and the political system has to adopt a specific political strategy in order to help and to help create the ecological conscience. And I think that some measures that they can be taken are to give more money to the companies, for example, and to give more money in order to develop those technologies that are based on ecological, on the protection on the environment, and they are ecological. This is what we can say about that.
So, being the EU the largest supplier of humanitarian aid in the world, we do have a big role when it comes to helping those non-EU countries in need. In a recent survey made by the European Union, 85% of the people said that despite the economic downfall, we should still help underdeveloped countries. It shouldn't be only about us just giving out money. We should make sure it is going to be spent on structural and educational benefits for the countries to teach them how to be self-sufficient. We should improve conditions in the third world countries so that they wouldn't feel the need to be illegally in Europe. As our first measure, we have the European raffles. We propose the selling of small tickets for a symbolic price that could be bought at institutions with trustworthy contacts. At the beginning of each year, it would be decided at the European Parliament for which countries and areas the incomes of that year will be directed. Then, the solidarity basket would be made in view of helping the underdeveloped countries. This basket may even contain medical examinations and vaccines, school material, supply of fertile animals, tools for agricultural development, and others. When we buy traditional raffles, we may have the chance of being rewarded. However, with these raffles, we are 100% sure that we will be rewarded while helping someone. These raffles remind us what the writer Antoine de Saint-Exupéry said: true solidarity begins where anything in return is expected.
I had the unique opportunity, I never thought I would have, that I could lead a discussion about the future of Europe with such highly motivated people, really. They all have got ambitious ideas and ambitious projects. Maybe some of them are quite controversial, and it can be quite difficult in such a short period of time to discuss everything. So we had to narrow it down, but I could feel the stress of politicians. I guess I could really feel how they feel when they sit up here, and it was amazing. I have to thank you all for it. Yeah, thank you.
And one of the ideas we had was, for the future of Europe, was to standardise schooling across Europe. And what that would mean is that all students all across Europe have the same school system, and that they have to pick from the same subjects, and that would make exchanging easier across schools, just make us all feel closer as being part of Europe. and not so far apart, and where we all speak different languages. Maybe we could have the opportunity to, I know in Ireland we don't have much of an opportunity to learn other languages as much as you do, to be able to do that and be able to communicate better and be closer to students in Europe.
We said something more specific. That was to extend an European program for schools since the younger ages. Like to match the younger ages with trying to teach some European values to the European schools. Every European schools adopt a project to teach the youngest people to learn some fundamental values of Europe, such as friendship and solidarity. Values that are not aware of everybody in Europe. The proof of that is the past elections of the last year, the year of 2014. Half of Europe didn't vote the last elections. This means that most of the Europes don't care to the European Union. So that's why we put a measure to teach some European fundamental values to the schools. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit confused, but the measure itself is try to teach the younger ages some European values, friendship and solidarity. I'm sorry not being really clear, but that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
In my group, we discussed about the media, which seem to be an omnipresent force in our lives today. We exchanged many opinions and promoted our personal beliefs about media manipulation and democracy. We didn't actually came to a result because of lack of time. We could keep talking for hours, and as Aristotle said, democracy is government of the people, of the more.
After the discussion regarding freedom of information, we came up with the following conclusions. We think that there is a lot of manipulation in the media. That is why we need to become more critically minded and also instill this concept in the upcoming generations. It is easier said than done, since there must be an effort from all of us. Media can also help us to be critical, providing that the information given to the public is the truth and the truth only. This is done by providing different sources of information, but finally it's our decision to make. We also agreed to create an EU-wide newspaper to inform the EU citizens about their surroundings and situations. Its aim is undoubtedly to provide the truth disregarding monetary appeals. This can also be made accessible for the hindered by using Braille language.
Is it better to work local or in your local country, or is it better to work abroad? We all thought that it was better to work local because there is a need of different jobs in every country. There is a lack of certain jobs, so we should convince the youth of each country to stay in their own countries, but the salary is different in depending the countries in Europe. My group and I think that the salary should be the same in every country in Europe.
My name is Shauna from Ireland. You're on about like encouraging the young youth to go out and get jobs. Now there's young ones that have studied for years, gone to college. They get to a certain point where they look for jobs and they give up because they're not getting anywhere. How are you going to encourage them to keep on looking? That's it. Thank you.
Well, first of all, the companies schools should work straight with companies. So when the young people are finished with their studies, they could be able to, straight when they're finished, they should be in business with some companies, because every school should be working with companies all over Ireland, for example, in your case, and that would help a lot of young people once they're finished their studies to get a job after. So mainly companies have to get in touch with schools and work together.
So, before I present our group measures, we want to tell you that migration isn't a bad thing. Migration can change countries and can change minds. And most important, migration is an important form of knowledge. So, to our first question, how to keep the balance in a society, we propose the creation of a program to help immigrants integration, providing them with a signed labor contract and a housing, a language from the host country course, and in order to cover the estimated deficit of the employment and by evaluating their skills. So, not all of us agreed with this measure that I will read, but I think that this measure is really important because this measure has the capacity to answer to the second question of our group's team, which is what are the minimum rules to respect and how to manage the migration from the Euro-Mediterranean region. So, the measure is the attribution of fiscal benefits to companies that settle in countries outside the euro area, of course, with the large flow of illegal immigration to Europe. This is really important. And why are you asking to me? Because this decreases the illegal immigration and develop those countries, like countries from north of Africa, that really need our help.
You talk about the human traffic problem and the migration, but the integration also involves a problem that we can all see in our countries, which are those little places where only one culture lives and they don't respect the laws of that country. I'm talking about places like ghettos, like little mini states inside the country that should not exist. Is there any way that you could solve? Did you just leave that behind, decide not to go through that way, or do you have, or did you say a way to resolve this? But I just didn't understand. That's all.
Yes, what you said is really important. But think about something. Do you know why a lot of immigrants don't respect the laws? Because they are not comfortable in a host country, because they because the country don't have policies to integrate them, to integrate them. So that's why our first measure was the creation of a program to help them. That's why we think that we should create programs, we should try to integrate them, you know, and like that we will have a happier society. We will have a society when the immigrants can respect the laws and, most important, can be understood from all of us. Thank you.